my fascinating Renaissance friends, when people, tell me, all right, that, that I don't look my age, and I, look younger, much younger than my real age. And they would now speculate, oh, you may have very good genes. Well, some people will say, well, maybe it's a secret diet or this and that. I've already answered those previous responses, like maybe it's a secret diet, maybe it's expensive, cosmetic, routine, or then maybe, something else. I told you that I answer peace, and we talked about that in the last, episode. Well, when they say you must have good genes. Well, I also answer this. Okay, maybe, but I also take care of the editor. What do you mean, man? Who's the editor here? Well, genes might be the blueprint for our life and our longevity. Yeah, they're the blueprint, But, okay, science has proven, that we can actually rewire, okay, the original wiring and the blueprint, of our genes by our mindset, by our way of life, by our, what does it say here? Okay, lifestyle, mindset, and meaning. Because we can rewire how the genes, are read, are expressed. Okay, so where did this come from? Well, this is episode, by the way, this is episode 141, and we are considering, the science of agelessness, and we're now talking about the genetics illusion. All right? It's an illusion. Why? Because, for so many years, a lot of people believe that our genes, okay, just like our eyes and the color of our hair in our build, are actually fixed at birth, and it influenced, our life. Well, that will be yes and no. All right? What do you mean, Miss Malu? Okay. It says here, even if for decades we believe that aging is mostly inherited from our parents, okay, shows research in epigenetics. Okay, that's in the caption. It's a new word. Alright? Research in epigenetics reveals a far more empowering story. Now, first, what is epigenetics? Okay, it is the science of how genes are turned on or off. There's such a thing. You have the genes that work this way. You can turn it on or you can turn it off. Okay, Dr. Dean Ornish, he did a study on heart patients. Okay, showed that after just 3 months of lifestyle change. Okay, what would that require? Maybe nutrition, okay, plant-based nutrition, stress reduction, love and support. Okay, over 500 genes have changed their activity. Means they have been changed. Either they have been turned on or off. In this particular case, okay, the change was for the better. Okay, all right. That some disease promoting genes, okay, turned off, and healing genes turned on. You see that? Yes, genes load the gun, but our habits pull the trigger. Okay, yeah, there you go. Therefore, our DNA is not destiny, it is our biography, which can be what? Edited. This means the way we eat, The way we eat, the way we move, the way we rest, the way we love, the way we forgive, these are constantly rewiring the story of ourselves, what ourselves do, and what we tell them to do. Okay? Now, they call this, the scientists who work on this, they call this the youth switch genes. Youth switch genes. It's just like switching, from like a, I think it's a toggle switch. They call it the toggle switch. You can go to another line and then another line. Genes that influence repair, regeneration, and inflammation. We turn off the genes that cause inflammation, turn on the genes which turn on the genes for repair and regeneration. Can you beat that? Okay, there was a landmark study that these guys have on identical twins, identical, not fraternal twins, identical. So, which means they have what? They have the same genes, they have the same parents, exactly the same. But they subjected them, to different lifestyles. Okay, the other one lived a very stressful life. Okay, they have different faith. They have, very, very different. And what they found out is that the twin who manage stress, exercise, and live with purpose appeared. So that's the word appeared. They did not really become younger. They appeared. Okay, can you guess? 2 years, 5 years, 7 years? Because we said in episode two, it actually, longer it adds 3.7, sorry, 7.5 years. Okay, in terms of that it adds, but it actually the 7.5 years in longevity. Okay, so it says here no, it's 10 years. Okay, appeared here is 10 years younger biologically than her sister. Okay, so the telomeres will tell you the longevity. It will add an average of 7.5 years if we live, with proper attitude and all of that. Here, okay, if we manage stress, we exercise, we live with purpose, it actually makes us appear 10 years younger. Okay? So while we may have inherited the nose from my dad, I talk about myself, the nose from my dad, the height from my mom, the color of my hair from my dad, my skin from my mom, all of this. Okay. We also inherit the lessons that they have learned, the lessons of how they live their life. Okay? So my dad, smoked and drank. My mom didn't, but that's a totally different story because we have what we call propensity towards certain diseases, which is really, inherited. No, okay. So by choosing differently, we actually involve. Sorry, we actually evolve our lineage itself. So by choosing how we live, it evolved. Our lineage evolves. No, okay. So let's explore some of this. No, to keep our genetic story what youthful and radiant. Okay, I'll give you six. I have six in the list, and it will appear there. Okay, the first one: feed your genes right. So it's just like feeding, right? In that way, eat, genes which will turn on repair and rejuvenation, like plant-rich foods. Okay, blueberries. It says here, well, there are no blueberries in the Philippines. They're all imported, so it's kind of expensive. But turmeric is available in the Philippines, so I'm happy I do that. And olive oil, because these are nature's epigenetic editors. Yeah, because I love pasta, so I use a lot of olive oil. It's reasonable here in the Philippines. Okay, so feed our genes right. Okay. Second is movement with joy. We will talk about movement in the next episode. But for now, let's say move with joy. So it's not just exercises per se, because I don't want to preempt myself because some people don't like to exercise. But it says here, move with joy. So any kind of movement, as long as we move, it switches on genes that support mitochondrial health. Okay, mitochondria, they're the body's energy factories. Okay, says move with joy, even if it's just going up and down the stairs, humming, okay, skipping, what, up and down, in what, in rhythmic fashion. This is what it says. Okay, it supports mitochondrial growth, which is really the genes, energy factories. That's number two. Number three, sleep. Oh my. When I was much younger, I don't want to sleep. Now I long for sleep. Okay, sleep, which is the ultimate repair mode. Yeah. Oh, well, I'm still guilty of this right now because it's a lot of habit, but they say that sleeping from 10 to 4, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., that's when the brain, okay, does all its repair, its cellular repair and detoxification peak. You see that? So as best as I can, I try to sleep by 10 or 10:30. Okay, because if I continue to read, so I love reading until 12 past midnight. It's very difficult for me already to sleep. The 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. is the peak of the cellular repair. Wow. Your genes perform maintenance work. So if you don't sleep, okay, the brain cannot do its maintenance work. It will all be foggy. Okay? So, number four, we manage our emotions. Why? Because chronic, which means it does not end. It's long term. Okay? Chronic anger or anxiety, okay, keeps the stress genes active. So, what's the antidote? Chronic stress, anxiety. What's the antidote? Antidote says, the research says, gratitude, compassion, and laughter, because they silence these genes which activate, inflammation. Okay, gratitude, compassion, and laughter. So we manage that. Okay, we will talk about that much later. Number five, build loving, okay, connections. Okay, it's not so much how many friends we have, it's how deep those friendships are. Okay, because loneliness accelerates aging. Okay, more than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Oh my gosh. Even if you are a chain smoker, but if you are not lonely, somehow it balances. But if you don't smoke at all, but if you are lonely, that's even worse. Okay, love literally, it says here, alter gene expression in immune cells. It's the it's the biology of belonging. you know being part of somebody's life. It says here, the last one, which is very important to me, is live with meaning. Do we have a purpose for living? Live with meaning. A 2020 study found that people with a strong sense of purpose, okay, had longer telomeres, again, telomeres, longevity marker, healthier DNA, so which means the healing genes are turned on, inflammation causing genes are turned off, and slower aging markers, regardless of family history. Okay, regardless of family history. So, tonight, okay, why don't you ask yourself, why don't you tell yourself this message? I am not my DNA. I am my choices. Okay? I am not my DNA. I am my choices. Because every meal, every breath, every act of kindness is shaping the story of our cells, of what our cells believe. And so, mutate, accordingly. Maybe the greatest inheritance isn't our chromosomes. XX chromosomes make you a biological woman. a biological female, regardless of what you feel. And XY chromosomes make you a biological male, regardless of whether you feel like a woman or identify as a woman. Okay, there's no such thing as identifying like a cat. Okay, because we don't have cat chromosomes. Okay, but really, it's our consciousness. And maybe youth is not passed through bloodlines, maybe, but through the way we choose to live, love, and evolve. So the next time someone tells you you must have good genes, just smile, right? And then you answer, I made peace with my genes. We agreed to stay young together. Okay, very nice. You tell yourself that. So next episode, we talk about the magic of movement. There, we can talk a lot more about movement. And remember, youth is not a time of life. It is a state of being. Right? So don't forget to like and subscribe. And so we will be together in this journey in the age of agelessness so we can continue to age gracefully, age wisely, and age elegantly. Okay, my fascinating Renaissance friends, sayonara for now.